Tonight on the Screensavers, see what it takes to keep the U.S. Constitution perfectly preserved, plus awesome maps for your summer road trips, and protecting your freedoms in this age of information warfare. Live from the Tech TV studios in San Francisco, it's the Screensavers! Yay!
Welcome to the Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Kevin Rose. Thanks for joining us on the Screensavers, the show that gives you your daily dose of technology. We're continuing today with TSS Goes to Washington Week. All of us took a visit to our nation's capital to show you some cool things, like inside the FCC labs and an interview with FCC Chairman Michael Powell.
Leo, walking the walk.
Yes, they actually went to Best Buy or something like that, right?
Don't give it too much away.
Picked out his gear?
Well, he's going to talk about like how he goes there. Well, you know what? When we leave the segment to explain it. Tonight's a great show. We're going to show you some amazing maps for your summer road trips. And Sarah, what's your DC segment today?
Well, you know, the U.S. Constitution, let's just say. Do you have any idea how it's encased and preserved so that it will never degrade over time?
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It takes a lot more than you would think, and I had someone actually kind of saw it in half, and, well, not the actual Constitution, but a replica of it, and let me know how they put it all together. It's pretty cool. Coming up in a little bit. I did not saw.
Were you worried there for a second?
Sarah spreads the Constitution.
No more Constitution.
It's priceless document. Sorry.
Dan, what are you up to on the show
I'm taking
today?
your phone calls as usual every day. Give me a call at 888-989-7879 and also email me at thescreensavers@techtv.com. Not bad. Oh, and if you have a netcam, you get a free t-shirt. Not bad.
Free t-shirt.
Free t-shirt.
Outstanding. Tech news?
Tech news. Let's do it. Sarah's got the first story.
I sure do. The U.S. Senate may vote on the Pirate Act as early as next week. If passed, the bill would put the Department of Justice in the position of the RIAA, letting federal officials file civil suits against copyright violators, of course with potential fines of hundreds and thousands of dollars. Senator Orrin Hatch supports the bill and says only the U.S. government has the resources and moral authority to go after file swappers. Now, I might agree with resources, but I don't know if moral authority is the first thing that comes to mind when I think of our government.
Yeah.
Well,
what do you guys think?
I'm not even getting into the whole moral authority thing, but it's like, of all the things the United States government has to do in its spare time, well, we got the whole Iraq situation, we've got the whole economic situation, we've got the whole trade imbalance, but what we're going to do is we're going to take the DOJ and we're going to fire them up to get those file swappers.
Now, I read through the story, and I'm not going to explain to understand all the legal jargon here. What does this mean to the end user, to the average Joe out there?
If it gets passed, if it becomes a law, if it goes into effect, my understanding is what it means is the Department of Justice will be, going after you as a criminal offense for downloading files online. Rather than the RIAA doing, their suits, it'll actually make it a criminal offense and the DOJ a federal crime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like one of those moments where it's like, hold up a 7-Eleven with a gun, you get 2 years and you're out in 5.
Swap songs,
you get a huge, giant,
So now, is this more than just songs, though? Are we talking just stuff like music, or are we talking pirated software?
I assume it will be any copyrighted material.
Right, so,
any copyrighted material being downloaded on peer-to-peer sites.
So this is the way to crack down on the peer-to-peer sites when it comes to application swapping, movies, things of that nature as well. Everything.
Yeah, the RIAA is the big guns in this. Because, we were joking earlier this week. We're like, hey, they're picking up like $3,000 for every letter they send out to a file swapper. Maybe it's costing more than that. Yeah. Or maybe they just want the federal government to do the RIAA's dirty work.
When are they expecting this to pass? How long do we have?
I'll tell you what, we got to actually have a guest coming on Friday from the EFF.
We'll ask them all about it.
They're going to explain all about what's going on with the act, where it is in government, and what exactly, just a definitive legal understanding of what it means. So Friday.
I just want to know how much time I have left, Do a little swap in between now and then.
I thought you were using other people's Wi-Fi hotspots to download.
No, that would be bad.
That would be bad.
Don't talk about that stuff on air, Patrick. Next story.
Next story. Market research firm Vividence has found that 89% of people had a positive experience using Google's search engine. Google's also ranked high in customer loyalty and future use categories. However, when researchers compared Google's actual search engine with those from Yahoo, Lycos, Ask Jeeves, and MSN, they found that they all returned very similar results. So Google still comes out the most customer-friendly, but I'm wondering who paid for this study.
That's what we're all wondering.
Yeah.
It's an interesting study, right? This company basically, they classic marketing study. They pick a group of end users, they set up a study, they observe them, they comment on their results. Normally, this stuff gets paid for by somebody, and that's what we're always. Did this company do this on their own out of curiosity?
So we're thinking Microsoft, Yahoo, who we talking
all
about?
All of the above.
Yeah.
The because it's kind of funny. It's like, okay, it's time to kick Google right before the IPO.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny though is I kind of agree with them in some sense.
I absolutely
Google's
agree
gotten a
with
little
them.
worse, and it seems like Yahoo's gotten better. And
Google bomb. I'll be honest with you. Google bombing drives me nuts when you're starting to watch because everybody's like it's presidential candidates and stuff like that. But effectively, if you create a bunch of sites that advertise or sell through stuff, you effectively Google bomb the website, and you make
skewing your results. It's just not
Exactly.
right. It's not the way it should be. But.
It's really frustrating. And apparently, as in my understanding, it'd be interesting to get some information on this. As few as 32 pages have been linked to push something up to the top of the Google results.
Yeah.
So it's.
Google bombing's a bad thing. You still use Google?
I still use Google.
I still use Google. Sarah, still on Google?
I'm a Google freak.
Although I have to admit, I've been using Yahoo a lot more lately.
Yeah, I like Yahoo for some things too. I like the directory and the human touch is sometimes nice. When someone actually recommends it and puts it on there rather than just a machine determining how it's ranked. I don't know.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
You're welcome. Have a good show, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Corpus Christi, Texas. Is it Anson?
That's right.
How's it going today, Anson?
Hey, Anson.
I'm pretty good. How y'all doing today?
Outstanding.
Pretty good.
All right. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay. There are two questions, rather. The first thing, how do you control the number of downloads that are possible from the default Microsoft Windows downloader? I seem to only be able to get 2 at a time.
Right. 2 or 3 at a time, and then you just click on something and nothing happens, right?
That's right, yeah.
Patrick's working in the back there trying to fix the mouse. No, it's dead.
We've killed another mouse.
Another mouse died on
We
us.
have a great demo set up for you, Anson. I want you to get a picture in your mind.
You know
of
what?
this,
Why
right?
don't you just do a nice little Alt-Tab and open up those windows? Can you do that? There you go.
Download Accelerator
Done.
Plus.
Bam.
You got 2 options. Your fundamental option is to go into a registry hack on Internet Explorer and allow it to open up more simultaneous
Yeah, I think
downloads.
Sarah's done this on the show in the past where it's a simple little tweak and then allow you to download 4 or 5 different downloads at once, which will get past your problem. But Patrick has a better way.
One of the things you can look at is, and you have to be very careful in what kind of download accelerator you choose because there's a lot of them that included spyware or do tracking. Most of us actually use Download Accelerator Plus. It's from speedbit.com.
Yeah, I've used that in the past.
Okay. And what it'll do is it not only will allow you to do multiple downloads at the same time, but it'll also allow you to download multiple or more than a single stream or a couple streams per download. So you can essentially make it look like you're 7 different computers downloading information from a server and give you a much larger chunk of bandwidth.
I do this a lot of the times when I'm downloading huge Linux ISO files because sometimes they're 650, 700 megabytes in size. Rather than just click on one and have one stream coming down at 50-some K a second, it will connect to multiple servers and then pull all those streams and pull them together and putting in the byte order correctly, and then you have a much faster download.
Which is nice. Now we have had some requests from people who run servers to basically say, hey, not more than 4 or 5 streams per download because the truth is you're going to slurp all the bandwidth. You're going to make it miserable for everybody else using it.
But do you have time for the second question?
What's that?
Do you have time for the second question?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, all right.
Real quick.
The favorites list. I'm a Flight Simulator 2004 junkie, and every time I save a website, for the first few days, I get those icon next to the website.
Right.
But then after a few days, it just goes back to the default IE icon. How do I keep the website icon?
Yeah, normally you'll see a nice little picture next to, not so much in Netscape Navigator, but sometimes in IE, you'll see a little picture next to the icon. What that is on the web server, there is a file stored at the root of the web server called favicon.ico. And it's just an icon file that anyone that owns a website can create and drag and drop that in there with an icon editor. Once you create that and put that in there, supposedly if it is, when you bookmark it at that time pad, it saves it locally, and then when you go to reference that, you'll see the nice little picture. If it's slashed out, you'll see a little S or whatever it is. Right. We don't have any here, but you get the idea. Here's a little E for Internet Explorer next to it. Why they're disappearing and not reappearing, sometimes...
Are they stored in your temp file, or are they stored somewhere
maybe if you're
else?
clearing your cache or something, or your temp file. I'm not exactly sure. I do know where they're located on the server. But as far as the client side, I'm not really positive.
So what we'll do, Anson, is we'll ask everybody out there who's watching if you know how to preserve the nifty little icons for the baby icon.
Email Sarah at techtv.com.
Okay, will do. And you'll have a great show. I've been watching the show since it was an hour and a half long. Keep up the good work.
Oh, thanks so much.
Thank you for your patience. Take care, Anson.
Take care.
Okay, you take care, too.
We're just getting started, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we should mention Anson gets a
T-shirt.
T-shirt. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you call into the net cam, you can get a fine black Screensavers T-shirt with green lettering.
Old school.
Old school. Right now, though, we're just getting started. If you have a summer trip planned, stay tuned to find out some of the new maps you might be looking at. And after the break, we continue with the Screensavers in D.C. Sarah visits the National Archives to see how tech was used to preserve our nation's most treasured documents. Thank you. Not like you.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time now to continue with Washington Week here on the Screensavers. This stop, the National Archives in downtown Washington, D.C. The Archives, of course, houses the Charters of Freedom, which include the U.S. Constitution, Bill of Rights, and the Declaration of Independence. It's important stuff, and you'd be surprised how much time and technology is preserving it. Take a look. You think hacking into computers is hard? Try hacking into the U.S. Constitution. Since 1776, the history behind the survival of the Declaration of Independence is amazing. These documents have recently been re-encased and protected by a team at the United States Archives. They've mixed technology with simplicity to make sure their symbolism will last forever. I'm standing in front of the Declaration of Independence. If you can make it out, we're looking at the original John Hancock signature. However, this document is fading fast. It's obviously important to preserve. So has anyone ever tried breaking in here?
Never.
I won't either. I'm here with Darlene McClurkin, exhibition specialist at the National Archives. Darlene, what is it that you do exactly here?
Well, I work on the curatorial staff, and every morning I come into the rotunda and check our exhibit cases, make sure everything looks good. And in some of the cases we have hygrometers, which are little meters that record the relative humidity and the temperature.
Why is it so important to keep that range so specific?
That's what our conservation staff here at the National Archives has deemed is appropriate for these textual records.
I think it's time we go talk to some of these conservators and see how they actually do it. I'm here with Kitty Mickelson, who's the senior curator at the National Archives. We're actually in one of their labs right now, and we're looking at a model of an encasement. Kitty, what exactly do you do here?
I was part of a very small team that did conservation treatment on the Constitution, the Declaration, the Bill of Rights.
Wow.
And what we have here is a corner model of the encasement of those documents. Each single leaf is displayed in the rotunda, which you saw this morning.
That's right. So all of the beautiful displays that we can get close but you can't touch, this is what it would look like if we cut it up into a piece.
Right. This is only a quarter of the whole thing. There's a central passage that's clear here, and that's actually used to allow a light beam to travel a W-shaped path. It goes in, there's a window. You see a cutaway of one of two sapphire windows. A light beam can be hooked up to go in one window. It bounces a W path through 3 different mirrors and goes out the second window.
So these beams are measuring what kind of humidity is inside?
Correct. And whether any oxygen has leaked in. The environment that we filled these encasements with is argon gas. It's an inert gas with a certain amount of humidity. We want to make sure the humidity doesn't go beyond the range that we want, and we want to make sure no oxygen has leaked in. So this is a way to determine that without opening.
With conservators like Kitty, we can rest assured that the Charters of Freedom will remain preserved through the years.
It's amazing when you consider how much time and energy and money has gone into saving these documents from breaking down even a little. I had asked Kitty if this kind of preservation was similar to the efforts being made right now to save the Mona Lisa, which is also deteriorating if you've heard that in the news, and she said, yeah, although the surfaces and the materials used in these various kinds of documents are different than a painting like that, the ink is going to lift up and off without continuing intervention. It's really important to get it started now so that it's not lost for good. Now, if you missed any of the segments we've been airing this week, be sure to tune in next Tuesday, June 1st, for a special 1-hour edition of our whole trip to Washington, D.C., with a few extras you're not going to see this week. Inside the FCC labs, the NSA, National Archives, Space Shuttle, and a lot more. So check it out next Tuesday. Now, still to come on this show, amazing digital maps for your next road trip. And up next, Chuck, our next caller, is looking for more power. Can we help? Find out when the screensavers continue.
We're only 2 days away from the Screensavers LAN party, powered by NVIDIA. So well
Watch them play.
The game is Battlefield 1942, the Desert Combat mod, version .7. It's got new maps to kill people on, new sounds to hear people die, and new weapons to kill people with. So go to our website and click on Join Our LAN Party to register and for links to download the 591 megabyte Desert Combat mod. If you have dial-up, you're not going to be able to play. If you have broadband, start downloading.
Yes.
Probably in a couple hours, because right now, I'd say that site's getting slammed.
Get that download accelerator and
Plus.
get fired up.
And it should only take an hour instead of 6. Anyhow, you also have to have the full version of Battlefield 1942 to play, and we'll see a Thursday Screensavers LAN party.
Sounds good. Now, Chuck joins us on the Tech TV Netcam network from Madisonville, Kentucky.
Hey, Chuck.
Hello.
Hey, Chuck.
How are you?
Just fine. How are y'all?
Good.
Well, I have a question. I've got a pretty big system with multiple hard drives and CD-ROMs and all that, and I've only got a 300-watt power supply, and I was wanting to know where I can go to find out how much power each thing in my system is using, because I'm adding some neon since I've modded the case.
So are you worried about overstepping your boundaries with your power supply and having some
Crashing your
problems?
power supply?
Yes.
Okay.
What processor are you using, Chuck?
It's AMD Athlon 2200.
That's probably around, I think, either 55 or 65 watts, maybe as much as 75. Some of the newer processors are pulling over 85 watts. That's a light bulb right there. It's a 30-year power supply.
Yeah, the video card also. These video cards have been sucking out power. What kind of video card do you have?
Yeah.
It's a GeForce FX 5600.
Is that us in the background there on the TV?
Yes.
Can you turn it just a little sideways the cam? I just want to see what's going on. That's awesome. Look, there I am. Hey.
It's a 60-inch Philips.
That's crazy. Anyway, I've never done that before. I just wanted to do it. So
I'm worried probably less about the individual cards than I would about the overall system. How many hard drives do you have in there, Chuck?
I have 4 80-gig Seagates.
That's impressive. Wow.
Wow. Are you doing RAID across those hard drives?
2 of them have RAID and the other 2 don't.
That's awesome. That seems like a great setup there.
It's a really nice setup. AMD used to have a pretty good site that allows you that helps you calculate how big a power supply you need. I'd say off the top of my head, 400-watt power supply should cover your system.
Yeah.
500, 400, 450, 500 watts is still pretty extreme until you get to some of the next generation systems.
We'd also recommend searching. Don't necessarily buy the first power supply that you see in the bargain bin that's 400 watts.
Right.
Power supplies vary. Just because it says it's 400 watts doesn't mean it's going to give you.
It may be 400 watts for like 10 seconds, and it swallows its own tail and takes your data with it, which is really frustrating.
What's your favorite power supply vendor up top here? I love
if somebody else, if somebody else is paying for it, PC Power and Cooling.
Yes.
If I'm paying for it, there's a bunch of other brands that are up there.
Well, I'm getting ready to upgrade my processor, so.
Okay. Are you gonna? So what kind of processor are you going?
Well,
to?
I'm going either with a 2800 or a 3000.
I don't think that's going to change your power consumption that much. I'd say get at least a 400-watt power supply. If you know how you ever have like the name of a company and you can't quite sort of get it.
What are you looking for? What power
the
supply
name of the power supply? I want to say Enermax.
Yeah, Intermax is one, and
right?
Antec makes nice ones. Yoshi would know if he was around. I think it took off. Dan, power supplies, Antec, Intermax. Is it Intermax?
It is Intermax.
Yeah.
It's Intermax, I think.
Yeah, Enermax has some really nice power supplies that aren't so expensive.
Yeah.
Actually, it'd be a good thing to price watch. But you're going to figure if you're spending less than $50, you're probably not getting a high-quality power supply, Chuck.
So it'd be pretty much better off if I'm going to add anything else to upgrade the power supply.
I'd say at least a 400 or 450-watt power supply. It sounds like you're going to keep adding stuff to this system over time.
Yeah.
500 watts probably overkill.
We've seen 500 watts come in here, but they've always been like the water-cooled systems and the high-end systems where you have has quite a bit of components there, but 400 watts should be just fine.
Okay, because I only wanted to know because I'm adding 4 neons, so.
Yeah.
I don't think the neons are
not
really
gonna
draw that much power.
Okay.
And the other thing is you saw that Yoshi did a great article last week where he basically explained you had a... Okay, the Friday the 13th theme is a little sketchy, big guy.
It's Halloween, it's my cell phone.
I'm going to back away from the camera now. It's Halloween, Friday the 13th. All I know is there's a knife and somebody dies and it's not going to be me. Check out Yoshi's article, actually, for setting up a second power supply inside your case. It's a really cool mod you can do if you want to spend a little less money. But, 400-watt power supply should do it. We'll see if we can find it. The AMD had a great page where it basically listed, rough ideas of how much wattage everything is.
That's cool. If we find that link, we'll put it in the show notes as well.
Yeah. I'd add another 100 watts. We should be good.
Thanks for the call, Chuck. Now, here is Sarah with a quick tip.
I could do a really good Friday the 13th impression. Want to hear it?
Yeah.
Remember? I saw a lot of those. There were like 8 of them as a kid. I saw them all like 3 times. Number 3 was the best. Using Windows XP's filed and folder permissions can be a daunting task. It's complicated, but even worse, you can lock yourself out if you're not careful. That's silly. There's 2 basic options that'll give you a baseline of security, making files read-only or hidden. So what you do is right-click on any file and go to Properties. Then under Attributes here, make sure read-only and hidden are checked. Remember, an administrator can still view any file, so this won't work with admins. Use it for your kids who have limited access. Now, don't go anywhere. Find out who has the right to your information, the feds or you. And after the break, Pat can keep you from getting lost during your summer road trips with some cool maps. That's all when the screensavers return.
Welcome back to the Screensavers. I'm Kevin Rose.
And I'm Patrick Norton. Coming up in this half hour, we're going to talk about, the heated topic of the U.S. Patriot Act and who has the right to your information, or if you have right to information. And Leo's going to join us with a tip to make, he's going to tell us about his favorite voice-over IP cheap telephone service. And we got a caller who wants to know how they can get a Gmail account. We're going to talk
It's
about it.
possible.
It's possible.
People want them.
There's a lot of ways to get a Gmail account without taking pictures of your toes and mailing them to someone. It's a little rude. If you like summer road trips and you like using, well, your notebook to explore the nooks and crannies between hither and yon, we got some cool maps to show you. It's cool, right? I walked into local REI and it had 2 giant stacks of maps, and one of them was like DeLorme's Topo USA.
So REI is selling software now, huh?
REI's been selling software for a long time.
No idea.
And the other one is like National. Oops, sorry about that. And the other one we got here is National Geographic's Backroads Explorer. And I'm like, cool. 2 National Geographic's they're like the map people, right? DeLorme have been using their software for years for road trips, and it's pretty interesting stuff. Like if you hold up a map there, hold the map towards the camera.
Right.
The idea is is instead of having a whole bunch of paper maps, you can actually have the entire country at your fingertips in your computer in a really clean and simple way. And if you don't mind traveling with a notebook, one of the other nice things you can do is you can have a GPS unit attached to your notebook. It'll track your location.
I was going to say, that's the big advantage, because I've been using Streets and Trips from Microsoft forever now. I like how it plots out where you're going, and I love
you
it.
can figure out where you are.
Yeah.
And, if you start making wrong turns, you can figure out how to get back to where you want to be. But what's interesting, right, part of the reason we brought this big old pile of paper maps is if you take a look, and we're going to click this one open right here, take a look at this system over here. This is the National Geographic, the Topo exclamation point maps. And if you start looking at that, it looks exactly like a National Geographic map, the one they'd slide inside the magazine. And you can't really see it, but this is definitely scanned in and compressed because underneath this 80 up here and around these words here, you can actually see the compression artifacts and the digital compression. You can't see it that much over the camera, but boy, it's really noticeable up here. And you start clicking in, and you get into a higher level of detail. And let's click in... let's head this down a little bit. The interface isn't too bad to work with. It's not my favorite.
Area 51 is it?
Area 51. I have no idea where that is.
It's right north of Nevada Test Site, right north of Las Vegas.
Well, I was going to compare you.
There we go.
Okay, because I had this really nice demo set up, but we've just shanghaied that. So where you mouse where you want to go?
I got excited. I thought we could find something cool.
We can find something. Well, click on there where you want to go.
Right over here.
Frenchman's Flat.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna. And
look at that! I can't find it.
Well, what's interesting?
Oh, wait, there it is. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, but you notice how it's definitely got. If you look closely, you can see under the Nevada up in the corner. You definitely have the compression artifacts in here. It doesn't get really detailed. What's really interesting about the National Geographic maps? Check this out. There's 17 CD-ROMs in this thing. And so if you want to have all of the information in your system, you get to manually copy all 17 CD-ROMs.
You're not getting that off Kazaa. No way.
Well, maybe. Somebody could create one giant zip file. But I thought that was immensely frustrating. It's not the easiest thing to import. You've got to do it manually. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not really impressed with the quality of the maps. They're paper maps. They've been scanned in. If you're a big fan of paper maps and you don't mind the compression artifacts, it might not be a bad way to go. The other thing is if you want to get the highest resolution topographic maps, you've got to buy an individual set for each state. So there's one for Nevada. There's one for California.
What are we talking price-wise on this?
Well, you're talking about, for the basic package, you're talking about $100, and if memory serves, the individual states are $50 a piece. So it can start to really add up. If you're going on a long road trip and you want, or if you're a hiker or something, if you want a lot of these maps, you start paying money. Now, if you're only going to a small area, there's places you can go and print out the maps, or just buy regular USGS maps. But check this out. It's one of the things that the Topo doesn't have, National Geographic doesn't have, is see this big red line here? So I basically plotted out a road trip here. The Topo, unless I just can't figure out how to do it in National Geographic, it won't give me the route to go from point A to point B. And what I did here is I set up a nice road trip. I go from San Francisco to Snowmass, Colorado. I'm stopping at AOR 4x4 in Grand Junction, and it automatically plots it out. Now take a look at what happens. We talked about essentially those are raster maps on the other system we showed. They're scanned in maps. But take a look at how these look different as I start scanning in here to bring in a closer area. So these are vector maps. These are mathematical representation of the data that makes up a map. So we got Pahrump up here. Let's scroll this up a little bit, and it's going to fill in. There we go. There's Tonopah, and whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. I love it when you grab the wrong part of the map. So I'm going to scroll out here a little bit, and we're going to. But you notice how it's a little bit faster to use, unless, of course, you're on television and everything slows down. But the information is a lot clearer. Now, you can obviously notice some of the uneasiness and jagginess in the lines, but as I start to circle in on stuff, I can keep going in. They don't tell you to buy a second or third set of maps to go in on this one.
So it's all in one. Now, how about
exactly
this option here for the road? It gives you the quickest route. Can you also choose by scenic route?
Yeah, or another choice one. One of the other interesting things I do in this is you'll notice as I keep drilling down on this, it still gives you a nice, clean representation of the lines. And let me show you one more cool thing about this is it shades it in. It starts to get really clean and nice and detailed. Now, one of the really interesting things about this is you may like it, you may think it's kind of goofy, you can turn on a 3D map. Now look at the left side there. They turn that on, what it's going to do is render out the side view of it.
Oh, that's cool.
I got to figure out what I have running in the background on this system because it should be running a lot faster. And I can change the angle. So if I want to follow a road up the hill, I can turn on the information. I can turn on the horizon.
Oh, nice.
I can change the angle, and I can actually exaggerate the details so I can figure out what kind of terrain I'm going to be
this is cool for
in.
you. You got to love this because you do all the off-road racing and things like that, and this way you actually get to see the terrain.
It helps a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not quite one-to-one, but it's really, really nice to have more information in there. And I love the fact for $100, the DeLorme gives you the entire United States. It gives you an incredible level of detail and resolution, and it's easy to import the data disk. And it's one DVD of data, not 17 CDs. It's easy to basically run the install.
Works with the GPS too?
Works with the GPS.
Tells you to turn left when you're supposed to turn left?
I don't do that. I never use that. You love that stuff.
That's cool stuff.
You'll have to try that one out. We got more information, links to the map product we just showed on our website, thescreensavers.com.
Excellent. Good stuff. Let's check in with Dan for some very important information.
Thank you, fellas. The Tech TV Digital Dig Roadshow is heading to a town near you. The next stop is Atlanta, Georgia. Come on out and meet Jessica Corbin, Morgan Webb, Adam Sessler too, of course, yeah. This is all at the Lenox Square Mall on Saturday, June 5th from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Sunday, June 6th from noon to 5. Not bad. Now, stay where you are. The latest craze is Gmail. Find out how to get it right after the break. But up next, the author from the Anarchist in the Library is here to tell us that the government restricts the free flow of information on the internet. All that when the Screensavers comes back.
Welcome back to the Screensavers. Well, we were in D.C. This is D.C. Week. I'm Patrick Norton. How are your freedoms as Americans being impacted by the government's efforts for national security? Author of The Anarchist in the Library, a cultural historian, media scholar, and he's a director of communication studies at NYU. Please welcome Siva Vaidyanathan to the Screensavers. Welcome.
Good to be here.
This is a pretty serious book. The clash between freedom and control is hacking the real world and crashing the system. You're angry. You're fired up.
I'm a little bit scared. I'm a little bit worried. I mean, I've seen so many conversations since September 11th that seem to be encased in panic. I'm worried that our policymakers are rushing to judgment, not really examining the ways that they are altering our information ecosystems. And I worry about the future of democracy with these pretty radical changes.
Case in point, the Patriot Act. I read, therefore, I'm threatening to the United States government. What's going on? How do you feel that Patriot Act, it seems like some people are starting to stand back from the Patriot Act in Congress and say this was not one of our better ideas. Other people seem to want to sort of advance it towards I'd almost say, pushing towards the whole Nazi Germany edge of control and observation.
Yeah. I don't think we're close to being in danger like Nazi Germany, but I do think we see in the Patriot Act a really bad trend. They passed the bill without reading it. Now we're debating the effects of it years down the line. I think that's the wrong way to make policy.
You're supposed to sit down, think about the repercussions of the act, talk it through, come up with the best possible ideas, and then pass it.
Exactly. We should have had a good argument at the front end. Instead, now we're trying to make sense of the ramifications. But the Patriot Act is self-denying. We actually don't have any evidence of how it's affecting people's habits or what the investigations held under the Patriot Act encompass, because people are sworn to secrecy about it.
Well, it's kind of interesting. When you started this book, I think it started as a book about Napster originally, and looking at the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. I mean, are there any parallel trends with what's happening to information and citizens' access to it?
Well, that's what I started to see. I mean, I thought I would write a book just about entertainment, but after September 11th, it became clear that information policy, information warfare, was going to be a big part of our lives for probably the rest of this century, and that meant that I felt like I really had to make these connections. If we were talking about the ways that governments and big institutions like corporations are going to restrict flows of information, whether it's attacking peer-to-peer systems or being worried about terrorists using public libraries to check their email, I felt that there were connections we can make in an ecological sense, because we really are talking about our information ecosystems.
When you say an ecological sense, are you talking about creating an idea that there should be a right to information, something like the EFF would say that information wants to be free, or because it's interesting, because a lot of people, they find a soapbox, they jump up on it, and they say, America can't be safe until we stop all access to this information.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not something
Well, if we'd had an intelligent and informed debate over security 2 years ago when we should have, we would have said, all cockpit doors should be sealed and secure, and that's step one, right? Any security expert knows that the simplest solution is usually the most effective solution. Instead, we've tried this whole variety of policy interventions that have nothing to do with the real threat, and that's what really alarms me. We have a very poor habit of discussing technology in public.
Well, it's because anything that's far enough advanced is indistinguishable from magic, right? It's just let the weenies shut it off. Nobody really needs to know this.
Digital technology and networking, because it's so fresh, we don't even see. As a country, we don't even see when it's simply an extension of habits that we've been engaging in for centuries, like the sharing of music, right? We freak out because it's new and it's electrified, and we think that it must be horribly dangerous. Right. Instead of stepping back and saying, how is this affecting our culture, the growth of our culture? How is this affecting creativity and free speech?
Well, Jack Valenti was against the VCR. Now he's against, trading files on the internet, which, on the other hand, I can understand. People have a right to, I mean, you'd probably be pretty miffed if I scanned this thing in and made it available on AIM or something. I mean...
Well, I wouldn't be miffed if you checked it out of the library. Right. Not every use of copyrighted material deserves an immediate payment. However, I think that the way we ran our copyright system for centuries was really good. Now we've shifted the focus into the machines itself, and I think that's a really rough and clumsy way to handle information.
What about the idea of patron privacy, that people shouldn't have to be registered to read information?
That's really important. That's really important. I mean, we and our founding fathers understood this. I mean, this is a very conservative book in the sense that it really appeals to anyone who believes that Thomas Jefferson and James Madison were onto something when they said that the government shouldn't pry into our thoughts and our immediate conversations, that we should know more about the government than the government knows about us. That shouldn't be a radical statement in this country. It is part of our founding beliefs. Unfortunately, these days, that sort of opinion seems marginal.
Well, it also seems interesting, like we've seen cases where insurance companies are trying to be able to copyright databases, or that the idea that, if you access my telephone, directory information, right, which, and now it's like, well, it's legal for anybody to access the Yellow Pages or create their own version of the Yellow Pages. It's not proprietary information. But now that we're running into a scene where it's just because it's put on a server, people are trying to have the same laws in effect. The idea that you could have your phone number is copyrighted and it belongs to someone and no one else can reprint it or use it, or you have to pay a nickel every time somebody gives you direct-to-hearing assistance. Where do you see all that? I mean, that seems like an illogical extreme, but it's just one or two acts of Congress away.
Well, today we see that the governor of California wants to protect his image so that people can't make fun of him, and he's suing a company that's producing a bobblehead doll. I mean, that's so anti-democratic, and for a man who is swept into office on a fairly radically democratic process, I think that raises some serious values questions. We should be having an argument over values. We should be saying, how information rich should the American people be? How much should we be able to play with our own culture and our own symbols? And if we decide that we err on the side of freedom, then we have to undo a lot of these changes and trends.
How do we do that? Or if our viewers are kind of interested about how to help this process along, what do you recommend?
There are a lot of organizations sprouting up all over the place. Getting involved with the Electronic Frontier Foundation is a good start. There's an organization in Washington called publicknowledge.org that is staying on top of legislation that deals with information policy. There's widespread activism when it comes to the FCC, because the FCC has time and time again worked toward the concentration of information and culture and against the democratization of information and culture. And those are the sorts of levels of activism that are really starting to solidify now. And I'm actually pretty bullish on the movement at this point.
Very good. Stephen, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Ladies and gentlemen, his book, The Anarchist in the Library, How the Clash Between Freedom and Control is Hacking the Real World and Crashing the System. Excellent read. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Stay where you are. More screensavers coming your way in just a couple minutes. Sure to catch tomorrow's show. Leo goes shopping with FCC Chairman Michael Powell for some of his favorite gadgets. Dick DiBartolo joins us with his picks from this year's National Hardware Show. And Sarah's going to show you how to hide one or multiple drives, hard drives from your operating system without a little red in it.
Little mini dark tipper over there.
A little mini tipper.
Yes.
Short tipper.
Now, Travis joins us on the phone from Ridgeway, Colorado.
Angry tipper.
Hey, Travis.
Hey, guys.
How's it going, Travis?
Really good.
Good to hear it. How can we help you today?
I'm trying to figure out how to get a Gmail account.
Ooh.
I got to ask, why do you want a Gmail account, Travis?
1 gigabyte of storage is awesome.
Do you have a gig email right now, and it's just, you're starting to spill over, so you want to move it all to your Gmail?
You got it.
Wow.
You
get a lot of email.
And you basically want the web access. You don't want to just download it onto your desktop and use an application that way.
Exactly, yeah.
So, do you like begging, Travis?
Not particularly.
Well, because we had to beg.
Yes,
we
we did.
begged. Technically, we don't have Gmail accounts because journalists aren't supposed to have Gmail accounts, or even.
Well, they can for review. We're reviewing them right now.
Actually, it's interesting. They're not supposed to be giving them out so much.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Somebody told me I'll give you this account, but you didn't get it from me. So check it out. Gmail, right? For those of you who don't know, Gmail is Google's email system. The big attraction, of course, is the 1 gigabyte of storage.
It's in public beta right now. Now, one quick question though: do you have a Blogger account by chance?
I don't think I do.
Okay, there's a service called Blogger. They were giving away 1 in every 20 Blogger members received a free invitation. If you logged into your Blogger account, there would be a little invite. So I know a lot of people, if you're a Blogger user, check that out right now if you want a Gmail account. That could be a possible way.
Every so often they give people who already have Gmail accounts the privilege of inviting other people to Gmail accounts. So if you know someone with a Gmail account, this is when you start begging. You can, if you go up to gmail.com and go through the bottom of the FAQ, it'll allow you to type in your email address and basically hope that they'll submit one to you sometime. Because we don't know when this actually might go public.
Go public. Now, there is another choice, eBay. They're all over the place on eBay. People are selling their invitations. Right now, it's looking like, I saw one there for about $35 down further.
Yeah.
You're looking, buy it now for $80 if you want it. You're looking to spend about between $50 and $80 if you want to bid to get an invite. Now, people call me crazy. A lot of you are saying, why would you ever do that? I would do that because I tried to get a Yahoo account. The only thing I could get was Krose 2087, and that sucks. Nobody wants that. I wanted Kevin Rose at yahoo.com. Couldn't get it, but I did get that with something similar to that with Gmail.
Yeah. Or you could start your own. You could start your own website and get it that way. You're not going to get the gigabyte of storage.
Yeah.
The other thing to do is Gmail Swap is a site that's been getting some press lately, and it's basically people who so desperately want a Gmail site. So let's look at do you have looking for a Gmail account and the swap list. So it's the stuff people will trade. Let's go to this.
I saw a broken down car they were trading for a Gmail account.
$70 on PayPal, 200 free Netscape accounts, a real mouse named Mickey, a top secret classified picture, your girlfriend online for 1 month, someone to chat with. So,
check out the Gmail swap. If you want to spend the cash, check out the eBay. Otherwise, just sit around and wait like everybody else is doing.
Good luck.
Good luck. Now, Leo. Hey, Leo, what's up?
We're talking with the chairman of the FCC this week as we go to Washington, D.C. on the screensavers. And, I have to say, he talked me into something, Michael Powell did. We were at Best Buy together. He talked me into buying this. It's Vonage. It is voice over IP using your broadband for telephone. And Michael was right. This thing's amazing. Vonage is one of many voice over IP providers. They're the best known. For $39, you get the box. You take it home. You have to go to their website to activate it. No customer service reps. This is the pretty easy step-by-step instructions. Wasn't that hard for me to do. No customer service reps. You sign in. You give them the MAC address of the device. This becomes you. This unique network device address. This is your voice terminal. Now the beauty of that is you can carry this with you anywhere there's broadband, and your phone number goes with you. They assigned me a phone number within 10 minutes. Instantly via email. I had my new phone number. It literally took me half an hour to set this up. If you have some unusual configurations, you use PPPoE on a DSL connection, or you have a static IP address, you'll log into the voice terminal just as you would with a Linksys broadband router and enter in those settings by hand. It really is very simple. And now, for $30 a month, I have high-quality internet telephony over my broadband connection, get all the features like three-way calling, call waiting, call forwarding. I even get some additional features that only can be offered on the internet. And long distance is free in the U.S. and Canada, $30 a month. I think this is the future of telephones. Vonage. Take a look at it, guys. I think you're going to like it. I'll be calling.
That looks cool. I want to give that a try.
Yeah, it's interesting. But, you got to pay for broadband, and I got DSL, so I'm already paying $50 a month for...
Unlimited, though. Unlimited long distance.
I get unlimited long distance for $20.
That's true. Sprint has that, too, with myself.
Still, though, if you got the cable, might be a good way to go. Good stuff, Leo.
Thanks, Leo. Stay where you are, because up next we're going to be checking our inbox to see what's on your mind when the screensavers continue.
See the show in person. If you're going to be in the San Francisco Bay Area and you'd like to join the screensavers live on the set, go to www.techtv.com/ticketline for information and to request tickets. Go there so we can see you here.
once again.
Before we go to emails, though, we actually a bunch of people emailed in. They said of an application called FPower. I don't know if we can show the
We have it on
computer
home base, right? Yeah.
It's a PC Mag free download. It's designed to favicons, is that what those are called?
Yeah, favicons.ico. It's a little tiny file that, but supposedly if you download and install this will help fix that problem.
Scan for the icons from your favorite websites and load them onto your system.
Cool.
And monitor them.
Sounds good. Now, Sarah, do you have any final emails?
Yeah, Brian from Houston, Texas has a suggestion, a download suggestion. I know you guys recommend download Accelerator, and I personally use GetRight for downloading Linux ISOs, but I have found the mother of all download utilities. It's Net Transport by XI. That's at xi-soft.com. So
I've never played with that one.
Heads up on that one.
Cool. We'll try it tonight.
All right. Moving on. Jeff from Clinton Township, Michigan says, is it possible to run a web server on my Windows XP Pro machine? I have DSL with a static IP, and the websites I'm going to host are just a few pages for my dealers to go prices for my business, friend's business. It's not going to have a lot of traffic.
Did you say you had a static IP address?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it even with the dynamic. There's certain utilities that you can use.
Right.
But he could download a free copy of Apache and put it on there. They have Apache for Windows.
You can use the internet server that's built into Windows.
Yeah, Internet Information Server he can download. I'm not sure how it works for XP. I'd have to check into that, but I know Apache works fine.
Well, the question is like, how do you keep it secure and safe? Because people are going to be scanning, even though nobody knows about your system, people are going to be scanning constantly looking for vulnerable systems. So you really need to make sure you've got every security patch loaded and you keep on top of it.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Another quick one?
Real quick, you guys mention software swapping on peer-to-peer networks all the time, but you never mention getting songs and movies from news groups. Any information you'd like to share about downloading from those?
News groups are very